about cars and couplers. That's right, cars and couplers. So, we'll go into a little bit of variations and this and that and how they apply to your railroad. So, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, welcome back. As I said, here we are in the rec room, the train wreck room, or the hobby room, whatever you want to call it. So, as I said, today we're going to talk about cars and couplers, and maybe a little bit of pre-planning too before you start all this shit, because when you spend all the money on the lumber and the effort to build it, and the bracing and the foam and the glue, and then you start getting into buying cars. Hell, I got all sorts of cars. I didn't even think about this. You know, back when I was a young lad, my dad used to have a HO train set and an N-scale train set, and I used to go down that basement and play with him. I think he had like a 4x8 layout of each. So, hell, I based my decision upon that. Now I'm like, well, hell, I got on the line. I was like, oh man, these look really cool, man. I'm gonna get me some cars, and picked up a few of these for about 15 bucks. Got them in there, and I was like, hey, these are gonna look cool running down the track. Well, like with anything in life, don't go into shit blind, especially marriage. You know, actually, model railroading is sort of like marriage. You're sort of stuck with it. It's going to give you a lot of problems, and it's going to take your money, just like a woman. So, anyway, this is probably a better alternative. Cheaper for this anyway, in the long run. It's more enjoyable too, in my opinion. So anyway, I bought these cars, and then I started doing research and looking around, and you know, I got the layout all built, and then I started saying, hey man, these are Rapido couplers. This is what I grew up with in 1972. Like, well, hell, man, we've come a long way since 72, baby. Now we got trains that uncouple themselves. They got a little blinking in. They don't even have cabooses on trains anymore. The hell, Dave, where you been? You been under a rock? Yeah, I have been under a rock. So now I'm considering couplers. And I'm like, well, I think I'm just going to go with the knuckle couplers, the Accumates, the Magnamatic, and they're just a lot better. Because, you know, if I'm sitting over there, that's where the control center is, and I got a train over here on the switch yard, I am definitely not going to walk the fuck over here to take a tool and uncouple a fucking car. Come on, man. So, I'd say the little Magnamatics are the way to go. Unless you got a small layout or something and you like sitting here and playing and unhooking shit, it's up to you. You might say, Dave, what the fuck? I've been using Rapido couplers for years and I've had no problem. Well, that may be fine. It's all a personal choice. It's your railroad. There's nothing wrong with anything you do with it. It's just my personal preference. Now I got to get rid of all these. I tried swapping them out. Some of these have the rivet style. Some of these have a screw style, which is the Bachmann. That's the shit I grew up on. But, you know, if you're the type of person that doesn't have patience with a lot of things, and you sit there and you fuck with it for a couple minutes and you're ready to throw it across the motherfucking room into the fucking wall, yeah, maybe the Rapido couplers aren't for you if you're going to try to be switching out couplers all day. So, I'm going to probably sell these online for a low price, whatever I can get for them. And I'd say it's better off just to buy something with the knuckle couplers on them myself, now that I'm a little wiser on the subject. So, that's enough about couplers. You can go online, you can find guys that'll do videos on overhead views of each coupler and what it does and the measurements down to the fucking millimeter. But I ain't going to do that. Try it for yourself. Hook them together. See how they run. You see the little metal air hose that hangs down? Those are the magnetic uncouplers. They got shit that goes in the tracks now. So that's what I'm going to use. So next thing is your cars. What cars are you going to decide on? Well, that depends on your world. What's in your head, man? What's coming out of your head? This is a night so you're up just thinking. 2 in the morning, you're like, man. Another part of pre-planning, keep a notebook. Because a year from now when you're building stuff, you ain't going to remember what the hell you thought. It was like, hey, man, you're flipping around on your phone like, shit, that's cool. I got to get one of those. You're like, oh, shit, I can't afford that yet. I'm going to have to put it off. You're going to forget a year later, so put it down on a notebook. Keep ideas in a notebook, because a year later when you looked at it, you're like, oh man, I forgot all about that fucking thing. I'm going to get that. So, it's a good idea to keep a notebook. Just keep notes, whatever you got, organize it. Also, you got to consider what your world is going to consist of. And that's going to depend on what you buy for your cars. Unless you just like buying random freaking cars and throwing them all over and pulling them around. Mine has to have purpose and meaning. Aight? Over here, we're going to have Brewtown. That's where all the beer and the alcoholics are. Over there, we're going to have a little town called Pooterville. Has a little plant that makes Uncle Pooter's headlight sauce. You might have heard of it. Therefore, we're going to have little tankers that come in. Not this one. It has Rapido couplers. We're going to have little tankers that come in and out with the chemicals to make it. And once it's all boxed up, we're going to have little box cars to ship it out all to the happy Pooter people all around the world. Then, in the Brewtown, obviously you're going to have grain, hops, barley. That's going to be over here in the farm fields, growing on the farm fields. So we're going to have little grain elevators and all sorts of shit. You got to have hopper cars and stuff to, you know, you can pick up some nice hopper cars. See, now these are some nice Accumate couplers. So, let's put that little dude back in there. So, you got to have incoming product, you got to have outgoing product. So now that we have all that established, goes into your head, how's your layout going to work? Can an incoming train this way go out that way, and vice versa? How's your switching going to work? Now, once you get over here, you got the mountainous area. I might have a logging camp over there. This is going to be a remote area up here in the hills. Hell, I might put a marijuana farm over there. It's your world. Do what you want with it. Then it goes graduating down into the hood and the inner city. This is going to be called Centralia. This is where overturned cop cars, bar fights, hookers, and strippers, and hell, crack little meth heads climbing up on the side of semi-trucks and whatever you want down here. That's the hood. That's the wrong side of the tracks, baby. Then, over here, we're going to have maybe, I ain't decided yet, from about right here, I may have in the middle a big old piece of water. Then you can study on how to make water, but there might be a shipping port, a container shipping port, where you got a big ass ship, containers. Over here you got the cranes that lift it on and off. Train comes in, we got a loop around here. Then there'll be a couple sidings that go along here where you can load up your containers with the well cars, and they can be shipped out back over here to wherever you want. So, you might want some well cars, you might want some flat cars, you might want some box cars. You're going to obviously have companies down in the hood that ship stuff out. You're going to have warehouses. Those got to go over to Pooterville because they need products. You might have a grocery distribution supply. You might want Pacific Fruit Express reefer cars. You got everything here. So, just bear in mind, think this through before you do it. Little at a time. Don't just start slapping shit down on a fucking track, man, because you'll be paying for it later. Everything in moderation. Well, I don't know. Except for beer. So that's about it. Keep a notebook. Plan your layout. Decide on your couplers. And decide on what kind of cars you want in your world, because they have meaning and purpose. Like, you see this little cattle car? I don't think they even make these anymore. I might have some cows out in the field, but I don't think they're going off to the meat processing plant to make dog food. I just don't see that in my world. Although I have shipped stuff out of Long Beach, California up to Nebraska to make dog biscuits. I've actually done some other stuff. I've shipped Alaskan king crab. Okay, out of Texas up to Seattle to get on a boat to go to Alaska. What the fuck? Alaska? What? Huh? Anyway, back when I was running grain, we go from Montana and we run that over to Portland, and that would go on a boat to Russia. So yeah, we have grain fields, and that shit would get shipped to Russia. So that might come over here to the seaport, get on a container ship, and go to Russia. Who knows? It's your world, man. This is just the planning part. This is episode 2, Drunk and Derailed. Don't miss episode 3. We'll be back later with yours truly, Dave. Till then, cheers.